Grab your sword, it's time for an adventure through the greatest fantasy universes in games. Games are great for a multitude of reasons. The perfect way to socialize with friends. They have puzzles to get us thinking. But we think our favorite aspect might be the escapism. And what better place to escape to than a fantasy world? Somewhere totally new with magic, weird creatures, and often vast places to explore. So we thought we'd put together a list of our favorite places to kick back with a horn of ale and enjoy some brilliant maps. If you're looking for a new place to call home though, might we also suggest subscribing to the Logitech G channel, where we have all the games, updates, and conversations you could want in one place. Okay, let's saddle up our horses and take a ride to the greatest fantasy universes in games.
You got a long way to go, son.
With an extensive book series, Netflix show, and of course 3 brilliant games, the continent from the Witcher series had to be something special. There's lore stretching back hundreds of years as elves and humans fight for land, magic and monsters intertwine with the everyday, and it has some of the most breathtaking landscapes in games. Catching a sunset as you ride through fields with Roach, to the bustling streets of Novigrad, even fights with a drowner can be dramatic and beautiful. Look at that moody sky. The Witcher games consistently feel like they stepped straight out of the book series' artful descriptions. That's not even the real magic of the continent though. Classic fairy tales and folklore populate this world, from little Easter eggs to intricate stories, with a little more old-school danger than Disney likes to recall. On second thoughts, perhaps I didn't want to see that. As a gothic fantasy world of bugs, Hollow Knight stands out on this list of medieval towns and sprawling forests. Its world is Hallownest, an ancient underground kingdom crumbling away and now full of corrupted bug creatures spread throughout a network of cave systems. Visually alone, Hallownest is something special. But there's also gods, kings, and the infection setting up the abandoned world we venture to while playing. Within these kingdoms, each area also feels totally unique. From the glowing crystal peaks to the heady, lush green path to the solemn city of tears, each place is more exciting than the last, revealing something new. The bug people and dark fantasy setting is in contrast to the standard genre and may come from a small indie team, yet we're sure Hallownest's influences will be felt for years to come. Our pain at constantly dying will be anyway. On the planet of Nirn is Tamriel, a vast continent that's home to one of the most iconic fantasy series of all time, The Elder Scrolls. From exploring Vardenfell's shores to the snowy peaks of Skyrim, Tamriel has so much detail. Take the Dark Brotherhood's hideout and Black Sacrament, or the fact cave-dwelling Falmer were once snow elves. That's not even starting on the gods, jarls, or hundreds of books and plays expanding the in-game universe. Despite having explored Nordic forests, fought skeletons, and met dragons before, Tamriel still feels distinct because of all of this. Tolkien didn't have giant flea creature travel, that's for sure. The Elder Scrolls does high fantasy and it does it well. We love to push the conventions of genre in an indie game sometimes, but others we just want a flagon of mead and a sweet roll.
Hey, you're finally awake.
From cozy taverns to huddling by a scrap of flame. The Dark Souls series is spread across 3 kingdoms, Lordran, Drangleic, and Lothric. Each are sprawling, interconnected worlds that each capture the gothic essence of Dark Souls. It's not really a universe we'd want to jump into given the other options on this list, but that doesn't make it any less iconic. The labyrinthine passages of undead towns, the deep, dark catacombs, the towering archives, once grand, now a bookish prison. Each place within the kingdoms is distinct, but it all feels part of the same gloomy world. A place steeped in lore, if you're willing to look for it. Every item, mysterious NPC, and gargantuan boss holds clues, as well as torment. A whole load of torment. Plus, to say there's a whole lot of grey, It's a haunting but kind of beautiful place. If we could drift through as a ghost without watching our back for skeletons every second, we might almost enjoy it. Azeroth. Where do we even start? The first Warcraft game was released in 1994, but it's still very much alive and kicking today, despite their forces of death wanting otherwise. It's no surprise then that this is a universe rich with story, millions of players, and a truly vast world. World of Warcraft is the most notable of the series, and the sheer breadth of zones available to quest through and explore is unbelievable. Most are vastly different, but even the similar ones feel unique. There are many forested areas, for example, but each one is distinct from music to architecture to tree type to animal. Blizzard have built worlds we love just existing in, before we get on with raids and dungeons. Plus, that signature colourful style stands out in a genre of beloved beige. We never get bored of going back to our favourite locations just to chill out and fish, or listening to the soundtracks of each zone. Can you feel nostalgic for a place that isn't real? In Warcraft, you can. Is this cheating? Middle-earth is not a gaming-only universe, but it has featured in everything from MMORPGs to LEGO adventures to strategy, so we feel like we're allowed to include it. Because, let's be real, what a fantasy universe! Tolkien's Middle-earth is a foundation of the genre as we know it today. Elves, wizards, maps, scary spiders, it's got it all. And luckily the world only expands thanks to the games it features in. Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War were a chance to see what happened between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, as we follow a Gondorian ranger fighting a whole cast of memorable orcs. Middle-earth is a world of vast, sprawling landscapes from Hobbiton to Minas Tirith, iconic settings like the elves of Rivendell, terrifying lore of corrupted men, and above all else, purely brilliant high fantasy. Plus, playing a game saves the plane ticket to New Zealand.
You're tough! Let's see if your guts are tough too!
Yes, there are cars and industrial cities and concrete, but there are also swords and magic and mythical creatures. Final Fantasy may not be your standard medieval affair, but it definitely leans into science fantasy more than sci-fi, so we're allowing it. It has fantasy in the name, come on. Final Fantasy, however, isn't just one world. There are multiple planets in some games, but we can group them into one universe. Kind of. One where there are chocobos, anyway. And this universe is vast, complex, and full of physics-defying hairstyles. Depending on which Final Fantasy game you play, you could have a totally different idea about what that universe is. And isn't that brilliant? This series offers so much that whatever kind of fantasy you love, you can find it. There's the world tree and magical swords, or dazzling futuristic cities and Starbucks? We'll take a pumpkin spice latte and Excalibur to go.
Thanks.
Ni no Kuni's nameless Otherworld is like a modern-day fairy tale. It's charming, magical, and completely tragic at times. Wrath of the White Witch's Oliver is spirited away on a quest to save his mother, while King Evan is tasked with founding a new kingdom and defeating a great evil in the Revenant Kingdom. Real storybook stuff, but it's the blur between animated film and game thanks to a Studio Ghibli touch in the first edition that makes this world so special to be in. Grouchy Welsh fairies to adorable familiars, sun-dappled forests to towering mountains. It could very well sit beside Laputa or Nausicaa. Ni no Kuni itself is part Pokemon-esque as you collect creatures to fight alongside you, part JRPG with complex spells and combat, and part adorable adventure as you follow unforgettable stories. This is a world of cat kings and feeding chocolate bars to your adorable companions. Totally awesome.
You rotten devil of a thing, you!
Evan, come on.
The world of Dragon Age is intricate and expansive, and it's only getting bigger. With the 4th game in the series on its way, eventually, there's no better time to get lost in the world of Thedas. And what a world too. This is a fantasy universe that you can shape yourself, and from your first adventure as a Grey Warden, you'll be making decisions on everything from who sits on the throne to who lives or dies, with the repercussions echoing throughout the series from Allay to Kirkwall. There are few things more satisfying than playing as the hero in a sprawling fantasy world full of elves, dwarves, Kunare, mages, Templars, the list goes on. What really makes Dragon Age stand out though are the characters. Your party will join you on adventures and you'll learn more about the tangled web that is Thedas as you do so. Fighting wars, taking on Darkspawn, romancing party members, and perhaps even embracing blood magic has never been so fun. May Andraste guide you. So, those were some of the greatest fantasy worlds in games. Let us know what's on your map in the comments below. For more videos on games and all our latest updates, subscribe to Logitech G. If you do already subscribe, thank you. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to make sure you never miss an update. We're off for some more horse riding and tavern visits. We'll catch you in the next one.